Hi, this is Sasha Palladino, the creator and executive producer of Miles from Tomorrowland on Disney Junior, and you're listening to the Great Big Beautiful podcast, and it is beautiful.
Have you ever been to Disneyland?
Affirmative.
That was definitely an e-ticket.
I can't believe all the new gadgets they've got now. For a while, we didn't even have a house phone, not to mention laser discs, high-def TV.
You are listening to the Great Big Beautiful podcast. This week on the show,
we got in to see Jay Leno's car collection, and I didn't expect him to be there, but he gave us like a 3-hour tour, personal tour of his car collection. And at the end of it, we were like, you know, Jay, we have this character. He's a race announcer, and before we could even finish the sentence, he started doing the voice. You know, he was like, "I'm Billy Beagle here," blah 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 blah. You know.
Oh, that's great.
You're in. And he said, "You're hired. You're hired."
Here are your hosts, Jamie Green and Justin Connors.
So it's getting closer and closer. Do we know the release date yet of when the new DuckTales is coming? Have they said?
I don't think they've released a exact date. I just know it's this year sometime.
That's all I'm thinking about. No, it's not all I'm thinking about, but I told Hannah about it a couple weeks ago, and I was like, "Hannah, DuckTales," and she looks at me and she goes, "Dad, what's DuckTales?" And that was a moment where I just like,
I failed as a father.
Yeah, it drains. So that means you don't know. That means you don't know Uncle Scrooge and swimming in the mud. I mean, she knows Uncle Scrooge, but she doesn't understand what the show is, right?
It's on DVD. You could probably get them from the library or something.
Oh, I know. Believe me, I have plans. DuckTales, Darkwing Duck. We're gonna do marathon.
Yeah, we've started a few of those. Surprised, like we've started watching Darkwing and they liked it.
Mm-hmm.
They liked Rescue Rangers.
Yeah, that's a good one. That was one of my favorites.
You know, and that show, I think of all of them, probably holds up the least for us now.
Right.
Like you watch it now and you're like, oh god,
what is this?
Yeah, but they really liked it. There's a few episodes specifically with Zoe, like she just wants to watch that one episode again and again. I was like, you know, we've got like 4 DVDs full of these shows. You don't have to watch that one episode.
But something that is amazing about those shows, though, is think about the theme songs for every single one of them. You hear it once, it's in your head for days.
Oh, yeah. And like today, like 30 years later.
You know what I mean? Like
30 years later, we don't even need somebody to be like, well, how did that start again? We could all just like immediately sing every one of those songs.
Yeah, oh yeah.
What an earworm that song was.
I know. I just sang it and now it's in your head. Boom, that's how it works. So we're talking to some people that are pretty connected in the Disney animated universe today. Well, you're talking to them.
Yeah. I'm talking to Rob LaDuca and Mark Seidenberg, who you may not know their names, but they're the EPs, the executive producers for the new Mickey Mouse show on Disney Junior. So It's Mickey and the Roadster Racers, which is the brand new show. It's kind of a replacement for Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, which they're not making anymore. So this is like the new show with that classic gang. Same general look and feel, but the conceit of this show is that Mickey is a mechanic, and like they run this big garage together, and they've all got these cars that transform into racers when they want to have a race. And so every episode they've got some kind of a race of some sort. And then it's not like cars like they're racing in a loop. You know, like I saw one episode where they were just racing after a runaway meatball, you know, so it's like, it's very much a Disney Junior show. It's a lot of fun though. Like if your kids like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, they're going to love this show too. But Rob and Mark the reason we're talking about the classic Disney afternoon is because both of them have been with Disney for a long time, and both of their careers sort of stretch back to that time. They've worked on DuckTales and Rescue Rangers and Gummi Bears and lots of stuff since. So it was a good conversation, I think.
Awesome. So we're gonna go play that conversation for you right now. Hope you enjoy.
I wanted to just start off by asking, I was wondering where the concept for the show originally came from.
Well, let's see. We've worked with Mickey before.
Right.
And we love working with Mickey and the characters. And we just thought, if we're going to age it up a bit, I loved cars from when I was pretty small, and so did Mark. And we just started, toying with the idea of, if they each have their own cars, they should, then they could have their own personalities kind of almost imprinted on the cars.
And we were talking about the idea that maybe it would be fun to make their cars turn into hot rods, and we could have races. That would be a lot of fun. We haven't played with Mickey as a race car driver. That'd be fun to see what would happen.
Yeah.
So we came up with Mickey's Garage, and we said that's where we started. Let's design what would Mickey's Garage look like, and from there we started to design the cars based on all the characters' personalities.
Yeah, Mickey has a classic American kind of hot rod, so because he's the classic American character.
And then Goofy, we wanted him to have a goofy car, so what better car than a car made out of a bathtub?
I mean,
with a working shower.
It could have transformed into anything, and of course he wanted a bathtub.
With a rubber ducky gear shift. And, so he can take a bath while he's racing. Get two things done at once.
It makes no sense, but Goofy loves it.
That's kind of his
car,
defining. That's his defining trait, right? He makes no sense, but we love him anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. Minnie's car. She's classy. She's classy and elegant, and everything that So we thought, what kind of car? And there were these very elegant-looking cars, French cars from the 30s, called the Delahaye, that looked almost like a bow. When we started to look at car collections, we were like, wow, that could definitely be Minnie's car.
Yeah.
The fenders look like a bow, so we took that design cue.
And then Donald, he's a sailor, so we gave him the cabin cruiser, which is basically a boat on wheels. Yeah. And then Daisy loves flowers, so we thought it'd be fun to give her a smoking dragster that we call Snapdragon.
Where the show feels, the conceit of the show feels like you guys must have grown up with Wacky Races and shows like that. Were you fans of that show when you were younger?
Yeah, of course. There was that show. There was also the Great Race with Tony Curtis, and that was a great movie. I loved anything mechanical. Anything. Even Mad World. Those were all just fun movies. Yeah. And fun. Fun things. And the New York Car Show always had lots of experimental cars, which we looked at when we designed this show.
Yeah, you mentioned this is not your first big show with these characters. You're both seasoned vets with the characters at this point. You've spent a lot of time on Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. When you sat down to develop this show, though, Roadster Racers, what elements of that previous show did you want to keep intact? You knew you were going to be going in a different direction, but what did you want to keep?
Well, the personalities.
Yeah, personalities.
Really, it's about Mickey and his relationship with his gang of friends. Mickey and Minnie's relationship, Donald and Daisy's, how they all get together with Pluto and Goofy. That's really the core of our show. Yeah. That is the most important thing that we saw to keep, because that was Walt's original vision.
Mm-hmm.
Back when we were doing Clubhouse, we looked at all those early shorts with Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, Minnie, and Daisy. Mm-hmm. And their characters haven't really changed that much from the way they were back in the 30s and the 40s. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But now they live in a modern world that we call Hot Dog Hills. And it's still the same personality behind the wheel. Goofy's still Goofy, Donald's still that rascal, who has a tempered problem.
How much freedom do you have with the characters, though? I know Disney keeps them fairly under strict lock and key. Those are the classic characters. You can't mess with Mickey too much. But you guys have been in the sandbox for a long time, and you've proven yourselves that you're true to the characters. But how much freedom, and have you ever run up against any ideas that you wanted to do and were just nixed for whatever reason?
No, I think we're our own, police on that. We push their personalities, but we don't push them to the point where, Mickey's going to do horrible things or, that kind of thing. It just wouldn't be true to his character. So, there's no one really policing us except ourselves.
Yeah. And the stories that we're telling are all fun stories for everybody, kids and their families.
It's like taking the classic cartoons and expanding it into the modern world. Yeah. How we view it. So.
I mean, it's interesting though, like, because you guys have been involved with a lot of episodes and a lot of stories involving these same characters. So how do you keep that storytelling fresh? I mean, obviously setting them in a different environment will help, but you're still the same characters and the same personalities interacting with one another. How do you keep everything fresh?
Well, we steal ideas. No.
Actually, sometimes a lot of stories just come from our own personal experiences. Like one of the people on our crew was telling me about going miniature golfing, with his kids. And we thought, gee, let's do a story with the gang going golfing.
Yeah.
And we'll have golf tournaments.
And then, and just to keep it with the classic twist, there's the wily gopher that, gets involved when they're trying to, get a hole in one or, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and there were a lot of people on our crew talk about their pets all the time, and so we thought, why don't we have a race where it's just owners and their pets? So it's Mickey and Pluto and Pete and Butch, and it's all within a race, but within the race, the pets have to stop and do a little pet challenge before you can move ahead to the next, leg of the race.
And we have a lot of characters, so I mean, they lend themselves to multiple stories.
Yeah.
There's you go into Goofy's past or Goofy's, we've had Goofy's grandfather on Clubhouse.
Yeah, the stories really stem from the characters themselves. There's always one character that we're following in a story.
Yeah. One of the most impressive things I've noticed about the Disney Junior shows, and whether it's Miles from Tomorrowland or Jake or Clubhouse or now this show, is that the guest stars that you guys managed to attract. And I mean, this show is no exception. You've got Jay Leno and Jeff Gordon, Tim Gunn, a whole bunch of people that might not necessarily be known for their voice work, but are known for doing other things. And how do you go about choosing those people, or do they just come knocking on your door and say, please, please, please let me be involved in this?
Well, what's funny, I mean, I just want to mention about Jay.
About Jay Leno,
we had created a character who was going to be a race announcer, and we wanted this race announcer to be like 1,000 more times ambitious than any ESPN, race announcer that you would ever see.
But we didn't really know who yet. Yeah. And then we were trying to see as many card collections as we could when we were developing the show, and we got in to see Jay Leno's card collection, and he gave us the tour.
Nice.
Which shocked us. We had spoken to him on the phone, and we said, we'd love to see your car collection. We're doing a show. And he was like, oh, I love Disney, and I love, he goes, I'd love to help you guys out. He goes, so we set a date, and I didn't expect him to be there, but he gave us like a 3-hour tour. Personal tour of his car collection. And at the end of it, we were like, Jay, we have this character. He's a race announcer. Would you have any interest in, and before we could even finish the sentence, he started doing the voice. He was like, I'm Billy Beagle here, blah, 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 blah,
Oh, that's great.
You're in. He said, you're hired. You're hired. So sometimes it happens like that.
And what's really great is that, Jay comes in from the get-go, 1,000% energy. He was amazing. And he hasn't stopped being amazing.
Yeah.
And we have a guy on our crew who grew up in Indiana and around the Indy 500, racers and everything. And he was like, we got to get some of the. His family knew some of the drivers, and he was like, you really should get one of the, Jeff Gordon or
Jimmy Johnson. And we got them both.
So and he had a personal request for Danica. And so she came in and did a voice, and we even included her dog in the show.
Oh, really?
And then when we came up with the idea of we wanted a travel critic, we thought, it would be really fun to get Tim Gunn to do it because he's so good at, critiquing things. And he said yes right away, and he's been having a great time doing this. Yeah. What I love about Tim is that when he comes to recordings, he's dressed just impeccably.
Of course.
You know, in a suit and tie. It's really fun.
It's like you're in California. Relax. You know, wear a Hawaiian shirt.
I think that is relaxing for him.
I think that is. You're right.
I have to ask though about Jay Leno's Garage. Is it as impressive as it looks when you see the video?
Oh,
it
absolutely.
Is the ultimate toy store.
He has
my
over
God.
300 cars, and he literally has a story for every car.
Yeah.
So when he took us around, it was about a 2-hour tour. He was not only telling the story about the car, but he was starting some of them up for us to show us how the steam engine.
Every car is ready for him to just take out of the garage and ride. You know, he's got a crew of mechanics, fixing up cars constantly and, you know, finding parts and building parts. He can make his own parts.
And the garage is beautifully decorated with all these old-time racing posters and just model cars.
At the end of the tour, I just have to tell you this, sorry, because it excites me. But he at the end of the tour, he was like, you know, if you guys have a few minutes, he goes, they're bringing in one of my cars I had custom built. He goes, and I'll, you know, pull it off the flatbed for you. It's the tank car. And I was like, excuse me? And he had a car built. It's basically a hot rod with 2 tank engines that he raced in the desert. It's on one of his shows, Jay Leno's Garage. And it is the coolest thing you've ever seen and heard. I mean, this thing was loud.
That's incredible.
And he raced a Sherman tank, I think, in the desert. So we saw him pull this monster off the car.
And Jamie, another fun thing about Jay is when he comes to our recording sessions, each time he brings in a different car. So, you know, like one week he'll drive up in a World War II Jeep, or the next week it'll be a Model T Ford, or, you know, another week
steam engine, the steam engine one. Yeah, he's got an electric car from 1915. Yeah. Oh, I could go on and on. But we saw some other great car collections too, like George Barris, who designed the Monkeys car and Munster's car, the Batmobile. Yeah. He still had a lot of his cars, you know, tucked away, so we got to see those.
And we saw a collection of Big Daddy Roth's cars. You know, Big Daddy Roth was a hot rod designer back in the 60s.
Yeah, he did a character called Ratfink also, which was great, very 60s.
Yeah.
Do you have any, I mean, you guys have already, the show is just starting and you've already managed to get these incredible voices, people to come in and do voices. Do you have any dreams out there? You know, are there any other NASCAR or Formula One racers that you really want to get on the show, or just other people that you think would make great characters?
Well, where do we start? I mean, like, you know, a lot of times it's like, you know, we're working on a script and a character is in the script, and that's what kind of makes us think, gee, Jane Leeds would be perfect for the Queen of England, you know, or, you know, or
well, we had a character called Mr. McSnorter, it's a very funny pig, and we thought, let's ask Patton Oswalt, maybe he'll do, and of course he said yes, and he's the perfect McSnorter.
Yeah, so you know, there's like a lot of there's some British comedians that, you know, that we brought in that aren't so well known here, like Peter Serafinowicz.
Yeah.
But an amazing talent, you know.
Yeah.
Very popular in England, but so there's that kind of thing. It really kind of depends on the character we're writing for.
Right.
You know.
Right. Once you've got the actor in the place, though, you know, like Jay is the announcer, do you write to Jay at that point, or are you still writing for the character?
Well, you know, with Jay, we're really writing for the character, but in working with an actor, you begin to notice certain stylistic things they do, and as a writer, we start writing toward that.
Yeah.
So Jay does love to ad-lib, and we love for him to ad-lib, but now we're starting to, you know, play with it a little bit more. And we're starting to throw a few more ad-libs in his dialogue.
Nice.
I love it when he ad-libs. I mean, he just adds so much personality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nathan Lane was like that when I worked with him doing Timon. There would be pages, there would be words written on the page, but he would just say, you know, I'm going to try a little twist on this.
Mark, I understand that you have a bit of a professional history with hot dogs.
Oh yes, I worked in a hot dog restaurant in San Francisco called the Noble Frankfurter.
Yeah.
And I still dream about cooking hot dogs, and I love hot dogs. And so it's just really funny that, of course, Mickey's first words were hot dog.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And so you can tell I'm living in a dream, land that I get to work in the hot dog hills every day now.
Did you have any influence on the hot dog dance?
Well, no, actually,
Well-
funny enough, that came about because Mickey's first words were hot dog,
Yeah.
in 1928 or
Yeah.
9.
Yeah.
And we happened to mention that to They Might Be Giants, who wrote the song, and they came up with the whole hot dog dance idea.
Yeah.
It was great. I mean, that's how that kind of came
Yeah.
about. We just mentioned,
just-
Mickey's first words were hot dog, so maybe you could do something with that.
And they ran with it.
and
And
that,
it's now like millions of kids doing the hot dog dance, on YouTube. It's just, I love it.
So your first animated reel, I heard, was a hot dog jumping into a bun. You
that
worked
was
on
my very first.
was
in art school.
that a student project?
Yeah, that was when I was in art school,
Okay.
learning about animation. And
Yeah.
the first one was a hot dog running away from a bun.
So you started off with a hot dog. You worked in a hot dog restaurant. There was the hot dog dance with Mickey. Now you're in Hot Dog Hills. Is there something we should be concerned about?
I don't think so.
Just a healthy respect for hot dogs. Is that what it is?
Yeah, right,
Exactly.
right. You might need to eat a little healthier.
Well, my diet is changed much more since my
That's true.
art school days.
Both of you have a history with Disney television going all the way back to DuckTales and Gummi Bears and Rescue Rangers.
Yeah.
And you've worked on a lot between then and now. And that, I think, gives you both an incredible amount of insight and a unique perspective into not only the industry, but the company, too, because you've worked with the same company for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering in what ways the things, I guess you can interpret that as much as you want, in what way things have changed from then till now and during your careers? I mean, aside from maybe the obvious, like what tools you can use to animate.
Well, it used to be like 4 guys sitting in a room drawing funny cartoons and making each other laugh, and now it's there's lots of divisions and there's many divisions in Disney that now help hone a show.
Yeah.
We used to just I think Gummi Bears started with hey, there's a package of Gummi Bears. Like it looks kind of Bavarian. Let's make these bears, living in kind of a Snow White kind of, townhouse thing.
And also, our shows now really influence a lot of different areas of the community. I mean, we're doing episodes, we're doing games, video games, online games,
Short, even
forms.
just a few minutes short form. Yeah.
We do longer episodes sometimes.
Yeah. So from 4 guys in a room, it takes now a village to
Yeah.
make a show. So,
Is that creatively, when you're jumping around between working on like a half-hour television script or maybe a short that's going to go online, or you're working on something else that might be a feature length direct to DVDs, is that challenging in a good way for you, or does it sometimes just get frustrating because you have to constantly shift mindsets in how you're working?
Oh no, it definitely keeps us on our toes.
Yeah.
We look forward to all these challenges.
Yeah, I mean, like to tell a story in like 2 minutes compared to, you have a 90-minute, or a 70-minute, DVD or like feature that they want to air. Those are different stories, So with the longer story, you can play a little more with heart and personality and emotion.
Yeah.
The little short ones, are just fast and funny.
Yeah.
So it's and we've done it all. We've worked on in all of those kind of formats.
Yeah.
So it's fun. It changes things up.
We get to use different parts of our brain.
Sure. Rob, I read that one of your first jobs was as an animator on Bakshi's Lord of the Rings. What was that like, as being such a young animator at the time?
It was fun. Oh, I had a blast. I mean, it was a lot of fun because it seemed like everybody on the crew was like 20. So we just had a blast. We were always working and drawing orcs and this was like it was a different kind of animated film. It was it was the books that we knew as kids that we loved, and then animating Gandalf and Frodo, and it was a lot of fun. We had a great time. I learned a lot about animation because we were working with rotoscoping for some of the shots, which is basically frame by frame looking at photographs and how someone would move and then taking those movements and putting a little more kind of cartoon into it. It was fun. It was a great project.
Can you also talk a little bit about your experiences on Return of the Jedi and Wrath of Khan, what you did on those films?
Oh, well, that was just so much fun. I mean, that was a lot of fun. Because, this is the days before computers, Jamie. I'm old. So basically, they built models and blew them up, with high-speed cameras shooting it. So they would just kind of calmly announce, we're blowing up Jabba the Hutt's barge outside. If anybody wants to watch, we'd be like, yeah, let's go see blow up Jabba the Hutt's barge. And there's this 20-foot, model, beautiful, detailed model that they're like, okay, well, we better get it because there's only one take,
Yeah.
And they'd start up the high-speed cameras and just, okay, 3, 2, 1, boom.
That's unbelievable.
It would blow up, but then you'd see it in dailies and see it in slow motion blowing up, and it would be so cool.
Yeah.
So, and all the costumes were there, and all the, Jabba the Hutt himself was there, in all of his foamy goodness. And it was great. I had a lot of fun. The speeder bikes were there, taking goofy pictures on speeder bikes and things. It was fun.
What were you doing? What were you responsible for?
It was animation, doing special effects animation. Everything from Ewok arrows to spaceship shadows to laser beams and lightsabers. The lightsabers were the most fun, because everybody wanted to do lightsaber scenes.
How far it's come. The technology, at least.
Man,
I don't know if you've seen Rogue One yet, but how far it's come.
I have not. I'm dying to. It just opened. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it last night, and the special
company
effects.
Screening tomorrow. I'm trying to. I'm so busy at work that I keep forgetting to sign on to try to see the screening tomorrow.
So, yesterday was Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Today is Mickey and the Roadster Racers. Tomorrow.
Oh, I would say more Mickey and the Roadster Racers.
Oh, tomorrow, I think for the next couple of years of tomorrow, there'll be more Mickey and the Roadster Racers. I hope, anyway. Well, knock on wood. And
we have lots of stories to tell.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to them. I've seen the first few episodes, and we love them. My son loves them, and I can't wait to go on the ride with you guys. So, Rob and Mark.
Yeah, we just screened it for a couple of classrooms full of kids, and that was the first time I had really heard kids react to like the gags on screen and big whoa and that kind of stuff, which really made my heart feel so good.
They were howling with laughter. It was so much fun.
It's got to be so rewarding, so gratifying to finally see that.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. It really is. I can't wait for it to premiere. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Rob, Mark, thank you guys so much for your time. It's an absolute pleasure. Really looking forward to just going on the ride, and I want to get my own little transforming Roadster Racer, actually.
Me too. I can't wait for the toy. I've heard word that they're going to be they will be transforming, so I'm very excited.
And someday maybe they'll build an actual car that we could drive.
That would be amazing.
Self-driving transforming cars. I see it. The future.
I call the bathtub one. That'll be mine.
Yes, that's the Pugster.
I love it.
Thank you guys so much.
Okay, so with Mickey Mouse Clubhouse being, it's off the air, they're not making it anymore, what do you suppose is going to happen to the Mickey Mouse, like the Disney Junior Live on Stage? The whole premise of it is that it's Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. I don't know if you've been to it.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. But that's at Hollywood Studios.
Yeah,
Does that even still exist? Like, do they? Didn't they?
Knows?
They may have closed that down. I don't know.
May already be roped up. But I mean, that was a really great. I don't know if have you been to it? The live on
it's the one with puppets, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they did all the shows. So I'm sure that I'm sure that
they'll
show.
adapt it, but I mean, the premise of it is that it's a Mickey Mouse Clubhouse episode. Do you know what I mean? They call Toodles down and Toodles.
Yeah, there's no Toodles in Roadster Racers, at least that I've seen. But that show at Disney, at Hollywood Studios, that also incorporates, unless I'm thinking
Jake
of something
in the
different.
Neverland. And,
It's all the different shows. So I'm sure, like, whenever they have new shows, like Elena, Avalor, they're gonna change the show up probably to add in new characters.
I mean, Hollywood Studios is going to be all about Star Wars in the near future anyway.
But I mean, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse is not gone. They're still showing it. They're just not making new episodes.
Oh, no. They're totally going to milk that for all it's worth forever.
I mean, they've got dozens, if not hundreds, of episodes at this point.
Yeah, so. And they put out like DVD. They actually sell a DVD of it, and it has like 4 episodes on it, and they'll sell that one DVD $10. Here you go, bam, 4 episodes. Yeah. Amazing.
They know what they're doing.
They know. You think they're a multi-million, if not they're $billion company? I'd say. Yeah. You think they were big? They're going places.
They're going places. They're one to watch. Keep your eye on that Disney guy. He knows what he's doing.
That Walt, I think he has something going on. I don't know. All right, guys, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook at the GBB Podcast. Leave us a tweet or a Facebook message or something. Let us know that you're listening. Let the people on our show know that you're listening. And we love hearing from you. We love conversing. That's what I'm going to say. We love conversating with you.
We like conversating with you.
And I am Justin at 140 Justin C.
I'm Jamie at the Roarbots.
We will see you next time right here on the Great Big Beautiful Podcast. I'm going to try to be like Neil deGrasse Tyson. Great Big Beautiful Podcast. I can't do it.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
This podcast has been a production of the Geek Dad Podcast Network. If you've enjoyed this content, please consider supporting us at patreon.com/geekdad.